If you've been applying for jobs nonstop but aren't getting interviews, your resume might be the problem. Your resume isn't just a summary of all your work experiences, it's actually a story. You need to tell a compelling story to grab the attention of the recruiter and then prove your value, sometimes within just a few seconds. So in this video, we're diving into 26 resume tips to help you create a resume that really gets results. As we're going through these tips, I want to encourage you to open your resume and make these adjustments in real time. The video is packed with valuable information, so also don't hesitate to pause, take notes, and rewatch as many times as you need to ensure that you get a resume that stands out. Let's get into it. The first thing is understanding how the applicant tracking system works. Let's start by talking about the infamous ATS, because that's where a lot of people get stuck. They think that they need to beat the bots. First, it's important for us to actually understand what an ATS is. So ATS, Applicant Tracking System, it's a software that employers use to filter, to scan, to rank job applications before the recruiter sees them. So emphasis on before the recruiter sees them. And it helps companies manage large volumes of resumes by identifying the most qualified candidates based on keywords, based on job titles, based on their experience, and they align that with the job description. And when it comes to the applicant tracking system, your goal really is to ensure that your resume is correctly formatted and that it includes the relevant keywords that match the job posting that you're applying for. So basically, to improve your chances, you want to optimize your resume by using keywords from the job posting, and you also can use different tools that we have access to now. So there are resume scanner tools that help you to be able to identify how would your resume do on an ATS system. But you can also use ChatGPT, compare your resume to the job poster, and then see how you can improve your scoring. Number 2. You don't want to keyword stuff, but you still need to use the right keywords in your resume. So we're talking about the applicant tracking system and how it scans your resume for specific keywords related to the job. You can determine additional keywords to use by looking at the job description and identifying commonly repeated terms. And again, as I was saying, there's lots of tools these days that can help you do that in a quicker way. I do also have a full video where I teach you how to find keywords for your LinkedIn profile, for your resume, and I'm going to link that right above. Number 3, don't overuse keywords and don't try to cheat the ATS. So keyword stuffing is one of the strategies people use. Another one is white fonting. I'm not going to explain in detail because I don't want to give you ideas, but those strategies can help you pass the ATS, but recruiters will instantly spot them. So if your resume looks like it's just a bunch of buzzwords that aren't really coherent, there's no substance to it, it really will get discarded. Because as I said previously, a person will review your resume. So instead of stuffing your resume with a bunch of keywords that don't make any sense, you want to present the keywords in a more strategic way, that you're weaving those keywords through your sentences instead of randomly listing them throughout the document. Number 4, provide context for the keywords. It's great that you wrote project management. It's great that you wrote relationship building or interpersonal skills and you have a bunch of keywords on your resume, but you need to actually provide context. So you want to make sure that within your experience, within your accomplishment, you're actually explaining how you were able to gain that skill and use it to be able to impact the company. So let's say you add project management as a skill. You can, for example, in your accomplishments, say something like manage budgets up to $500K, leading cross-functional project teams of up to 20 project managers. And this ultimately will help you say, yes, I have a keyword that's project management, but within my accomplishments, I'm detailing how I was able to use that skill, how it has helped the company to deliver results in a timely manner or to exceed customer expectations. So don't forget, if you're adding keywords, you definitely want to add the context within the narrative of your resume. Okay, so this takes me to point number 5. Remember that a person will read the resume. And I've said that a few times already. It's important to optimize for the applicant tracking system. Don't forget that a real person will eventually read your resume. Your resume needs to be well structured, engaging, enough white space, easy to read. So avoid stuffing too much into your resume, including the keywords, and make sure that it reads logically and it's telling a compelling story. Because really the goal of your resume is to pique the interest of the recruiter so that they feel excited to want to read more and also to want to meet you. So that is your ultimate goal with your resume. Number 6. The first half of your resume is the most important part. Take a look at my screen. I just opened a Word document, and this is essentially what a recruiter or hiring manager sees when they open your resume. They see the first half of the first page of your resume. So this is the most important section of your resume. It needs to stand out because when you hear those statistics that recruiters only spend a few seconds looking at resumes, this is what they're doing. They're skimming and scanning through this first half of the document to determine, is this actually worth my time? Am I going to spend the time to scroll through this document to actually find out what's in it? So you want to make sure that this first half of the document really stands out. All right, number 7, you want to include the job title of the role that you're applying for on your resume. Some applicant tracking system software scan resumes for the exact job title listed in the posting. So you want to make sure that your resume reflects the role you're applying for, and this can be as simple as placing the title under your name, and this will help you to ensure that that job title is included within your resume. And really this small tweak also helps your resume align with the job description and increases your chances of getting noticed. And as I said before, the first one half of your resume is the most important. So just adding that job title at the top of your resume, it just makes it clear that this is the specific role that you're applying for. Number 8, focus on quantifiable accomplishments, not task. Numbers in your resume will help you to demonstrate the impact that you've made. So ensuring that you are able to quantify with a number in terms of time or a percentage or the amount of money saved, these are different ways that you are able to quantify the impact that you've actually made. Instead of saying something like improve customer retention, you would say increase customer retention by 25% by implementing a personalized follow-up strategy leading to higher repeated business. So as much as customer retention is a great achievement, but if you're able to say by 25%, that is a huge significant number that can demonstrate the impact of what you're able to do. Measurable achievements make your resume more compelling. It clearly demonstrates the impact that you had in your previous role, and it also helps you not only speak to results but show impact. So that's ultimately what you want to focus on. Impact, impact, impact. Okay, number 9, use storytelling methods like CAR or STAR. You've probably heard of these methods, and CAR is challenge, action, result. STAR is situation, task, action, result. So this is the frameworks that you often use in interviews to answer behavioral interview questions or situational interview questions, but it's also the foundation that can help you to develop your bullets on your resume. And I kept saying impact previously because I do believe that it is one of the most important parts of your resume. So I always add I to any of these frameworks to demonstrate impact, because an employer wants to know what's in it for them. This is a business decision for them at the end of the day. They're bringing you on their team because they have a gap on the team, they have a need, but they also want to know what's in it for them. What value are you bringing? So by speaking of the impact that you've made in the past, that gives them an indication of what you can bring to the table currently to address the need or the gap that they have have in their company. Struggling to put into words what you do is one of the biggest challenges I see with my career coaching clients. It could hold you back from actually landing your next role, making a career change, or even securing a promotion. So if this sounds like you and you want a professional to write your resume for you, I've got you covered. Our career coaching packages do include a resume rewrite. So just take a look at the link in the description to book a discovery call, and together we will work together to craft a plan to help you tell a more compelling career story that gets you noticed, and we will take that load off of you by writing the resume for you. Number 10, make your resume skimmable. You've probably heard the stats that recruiters only look at resumes for 6 seconds. Some studies say 7.4 seconds, others say 13 seconds. Ultimately, it's because they open the resume, they look at that first half of the document, as I was telling you, and they decide whether it's worth their time. And so you want to make sure that your resume is skimmable, that they're able to get the most important information as they're scanning through. You want to make sure you're using white space effectively, you're adding section headings, that you're breaking up large chunks of text into bullet points. These are all ways to make the information stand out on your document. Number 11, do not use columns or tables on your resume. So the applicant tracking system cannot always, I won't say that all of them are like this, but it can't always read resumes that include columns and tables. When the ATS reads 2 columns on a resume, it merges the information, leading to formatting errors that make your resume unreadable. Because basically what it does is that it reads information like we read it. So from left to right, and that's ultimately how we read, but it's not making the distinction that there's actually a table there, and so it'll just continue reading from left to right. So instead, just avoid this by not including tables, especially if it's important information that you're including in those sections. That also takes me to number 12, which is avoid Canva resumes. So from custom fonts, embedded images, tables, file type, and space, there are so many issues with the Canva resume templates. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Canva. I use Canva basically daily, but I would never use it for a resume. So avoid those Canva templates just because of the formatting issues. Number 13, your resume shouldn't just be about the hard skills. You want to make sure that those soft skills are within the narrative of your resume, because soft skills like communication, leadership are extremely important, and you don't just want to list them as a bullet point at the top of your resume. As I was saying, you need to provide context. Context for every keyword you're including is important. So instead, demonstrate these skills by including them in your measurable accomplishments. So instead of saying something like strong leadership skills, you'll say led a cross-functional team of 10, increasing project efficiency by 25%. So that ultimately shows that you have strong leadership skills in addition to the keyword that you've added. Number 14, put a spotlight on your most relevant experience. Instead of just listing every job that you've ever had, you want to be a bit more strategic and focus on what is relevant. If a past role that you had like 10, 15 years ago doesn't align at all with where you're going in your career, you can decide to minimize the amount of detail that you're going to provide for that role, or maybe what you want to consider is just taking it off entirely, as long as it doesn't create huge gaps within your resume. Number 15, white space is so important. So large blocks of text can be intimidating and hard to read, and I'm sure this is the case for you as well. If you see a text online that's just a big paragraph, you're less likely to read it compared to something that has been broken down, has enough white space, and short sentences. So keep your sentences short, use ample space between sections, and remove any unnecessary words in your resume to ensure that it is visually appealing. 16, don't restrict your resume to 1 page. So I don't know who came up with this 1 page thing, but honestly, it's just so annoying. Like, I have executives who are coming to me with decades of experience experience and they're saying, oh, I don't know what to do with my resume. It doesn't fit in one page. It's stressing them out. Like, when did a one-page resume become the standard? But anyways, so if this is your first job, I mean, I get it. It's your first job. You don't have a lot of work experience. So of course your resume is going to be one page. But once you start getting into more senior roles, we need accomplishments. We need results. Again, we need impact. So that's not going to fit in one page. So definitely, if you're someone who's more senior in terms of your career, if you have way more experience, the one-page resume thing is not for you. Keep that for those who are starting off their careers. But if you're mid to senior level, it's okay to have a page and a half, even 2 pages. For some executives that I've worked with, we have even created resumes that are 3 pages. So what is most important is that you ensure that every piece of information that you're putting into the document adds value and that it's formatted in a way that's easily to read. As much as I'm saying, okay, your resume doesn't have to be 1 page, I'm also not saying create a CV, a curriculum vitae, which is like a 10 or 15 page document listing the story of your life. So, we need to find balance, right? So it still needs to be concise. It still needs to be a snapshot of your career, but it's okay if you go a bit over to a page and a half, 2 pages, and for executives, even 3. You don't need to stick to this random 1-page rule. I don't know where the rule came from, but don't let it stop you from being able to get your resume out there. Number 17, you want to use hyperlinks on your resume wisely. A mistake that I often see people make is that they'll say, for example, on their resume, Lissa's LinkedIn profile, and then they'll hyperlink those words on their resume. The issue with that is that if the link gets broken, or for whatever reason the recruiter decides to print your resume, they're not able to see what the actual link is. So I have a full video where I go into more details on why this is important and what you want to do instead. I'll link that video above so you have a full understanding of how to use hyperlinks on your resume. Number 18, if you're someone who's doing applications, you've probably seen this where they ask you to submit a text version of your resume. And they're basically asking you to repeat the exact same information into these text fields. It's annoying. I know it is annoying, but don't write "see attached resume." So many applicant tracking systems rely on this information for filtering candidates. So you want to make sure that you're filling and completing all those text sections accurately. I know. It can be frustrating, but it's better that you do it, especially if it's a role that you want. 19, your resume file type does matter. And this goes back to what I was telling you earlier about these Canva templates. So basically, sometimes when you use the Canva template, it will download as a JPEG or a PNG. And those are not formats that are recognized by a lot of applicant tracking systems. It doesn't recognize static images. So what you want to use in terms of format for your resume is a Word document or a searchable PDF document. Number 20, file name does matter as well. So the name of your resume file, it needs to be professional. So sometimes you may just forget and call it like project management resume or resume final, but you want to make sure that it actually has your name. So your first name, last name, and resume. That could be an easy format just to make sure it doesn't get lost. Avoid using any special characters. Keep the name of the file professional, basically. Number 21, use the active voice. Keep your resume sentences direct and compelling by using the active voice. So the big one that I often see on people's resumes that they use was responsible for improving HR processes, responsible for this, responsible for that. So instead, start with the active voice. Improved HR processes, reducing turnover by 30%. So that would be the best way to formulate your accomplishment statements. And in the same way, we don't use the first person on your resume. This is tip 22. Start your statements with an action verb. Every accomplishment statement should start with an action verb. Not was, not responsible for, not I. Action-driven language makes your resume more dynamic and more engaging. Here is a list of 125 resume action verbs to help you, because a lot of times what I see is people just manage, led. There are other words that exist out there that you can use as well. I'll also link a blog post that I wrote a couple couple of years ago that provides you the whole list of the 125 action verbs. Number 23, you definitely want to review your resume and check your spelling and your grammar. A single typo is not going to cost you an interview, but also you do want to double check and make sure that your resume isn't full of grammatical mistakes. Use AI or spell check tools, or actually have someone review your resume for any errors that you may overlook, because sometimes you're so into the document, you've reviewed it so many times, you've made so many edits that there's a glaring mistake that you do not see. But if somebody's opening it freshly, they'll be able to be like, hey, there's a mistake right here. So sharing it with someone also is a great way to get it reviewed. Number 24, avoid overusing resume buzzwords. So go-getter, rock star, guru. Another one that I don't like, but it could be just me, seasoned. I don't know. I don't I don't like that word to describe a person, but instead of using these empty buzzwords, really demonstrate your skills and experience with concrete examples. It is better for you to outline in your accomplishments how you are this rock star, how you are the guru, instead of just using these buzzwords within your resume. Number 25, make it easy for recruiters to find you. Beyond submitting an application, have an online presence through LinkedIn. This could be a great way to complement your resume and give recruiters insight into who you are. And data says that they are going to Google search you, so might as well make the information readily available, make it presented in a compelling way so that you are controlling the narrative of your career and how they perceive you, as opposed to them trying to fill in the gaps on their own. And number 26, keep your resume and LinkedIn profile consistent. As I just said, recruiters will check your LinkedIn profile. So make sure the information matches what's on your resume, and it will avoid just creating any confusion. Your LinkedIn profile should complement your resume. And in this video, I show you how to build a LinkedIn profile that gets you noticed by recruiters. So I'll see you in that one.